You are sitting at a red light, a nice open stretch of road in front of you, and you decide you want to feel the raw power of your manual transmission vehicle. You rev the engine up to about 5,000 RPM, dump the clutch pedal instantly, and expect to take off like an absolute rocket. Instead, you just turned your expensive drivetrain into a ticking time bomb. This is a scene straight out of street racing movies, but in the real world, doing a hard launch by sidestepping the clutch pedal is one of the fastest ways to destroy your car. When you release that pedal instantly, you are sending a massive torque shockwave straight from the engine crankshaft, through the friction material, and right into your transmission. Think about the physics involved here. You are asking a clutch disc spinning at 5,000 revolutions per minute to instantly match a stationary transmission input sitting at 0 RPM. The amount of heat and friction generated in that tiny fraction of a second is astronomical. You are putting the pressure plate springs and the dual-mass flywheel under the maximum stress they can possibly endure. If you keep doing this, best-case scenario, you glaze the clutch friction material, making it slip when you try to accelerate normally. Worst-case scenario, you literally snap the input shaft, shear the teeth clean off your first gear, or blow out your constant velocity axles if you drive a front-wheel drive car. A proper, fast launch is all about smooth power transfer and control. You want to bring the revs to a manageable 2,000 to 2,500 RPM, smoothly release the pedal to the bite point, and modulate the gas pedal to control the wheel spin. The goal is to get the perfect amount of engagement to move the car swiftly without bogging down the engine or sending a grenade of force through your driveline. Before we get into the absolute worst habit that is secretly destroying your engine internals while you commute, if you want to keep your ride running flawlessly without paying crazy dealership labor rates, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel keep these garage sessions coming. Now let us talk about a habit you probably do on the highway without even realizing how terrible it is for your motor. You are cruising at 45 miles per hour in 6th gear, running at maybe 1,200 RPM, and you suddenly need to speed up to pass a slow-moving truck. Instead of downshifting, you just mash the gas pedal straight to the floorboard. This creates a mechanical nightmare called lugging the engine. At those low RPMs, your engine oil pump is not spinning very fast, meaning your oil pressure is relatively low. But by asking for maximum power with a wide open throttle, you are creating massive, violent cylinder pressures. This puts an insane amount of stress on your connecting rods, your wrist pins, and your main bearings. The engine starts shaking and vibrating violently because it is struggling to push the heavy vehicle forward while completely outside of its optimal power band. This is exactly how you end up with bent rods or spun bearings, turning a simple highway pass into an $8,000 engine replacement. The simple, correct fix is to just drop down a gear or two before you apply heavy throttle. It puts the engine back into its happy zone, where it makes power efficiently, makes your passing maneuver much safer, and saves you from catastrophic engine failure. Next up is something your driver education instructor probably yelled at you for, but a ton of drivers still do it out of pure laziness. I'm talking about resting your left foot on the clutch pedal while you are just driving down the road. You might think your foot is just lightly touching the rubber pad and not applying any real pressure, but the hydraulic clutch mechanism in your car is incredibly sensitive. Even the dead weight of your shoe is enough to partially push the throw-out bearing against the rapidly spinning pressure plate diaphragm springs. This causes the bearing to constantly spin and generate heat while you are driving down the interstate, leading to premature wear and total bearing failure. When that throw-out bearing goes bad, you will start hearing a terrible squealing or grinding noise every single time you press the pedal to shift. The worst part is the replacement cost. The bearing itself might only cost $30 at the parts store, but to replace it, a mechanic has to completely remove your drive shaft, drop the entire transmission out of the bottom of the car, and spend hours putting it all back together. You are looking at a massive labor bill just because you could not keep your foot off the pedal. Always use the dead pedal located to the far left of the footwell. That piece of plastic is literally designed for you to brace your foot against while cruising. Keep your left foot far away from the clutch until the exact moment you need to change gears. We are about to cover a very specific hill driving technique that is literally burning up your expensive clutch friction material right at this very second. But real quick, right before I show you the proper, zero damage way to hold your car on a steep incline, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you do not miss out on the vital mechanical secrets we share here. So, you are stopped at a red light on a massive hill, and to keep the car from rolling backward into the bumper of the expensive luxury car behind you, you decide to balance the clutch and the gas pedal. You find that sweet spot, the bite point, and you just hold the car there, hovering in place. It looks really cool and makes you feel like a professional race car driver with ultimate vehicle control, but you are absolutely roasting your clutch disc. The friction material is aggressively grinding against the heavy steel flywheel the entire time you are sitting there. If you sit there long enough, you will actually start to smell a horrific odor coming through your air conditioning vents that smells like rotting eggs and burnt brake pads. That is the smell of your clutch life evaporating into the atmosphere. The intense heat generated by this friction will also create hard hot spots on your flywheel, making your future takeoffs shudder and shake. The proper way to hold a manual car on a hill assuming you do not have a modern electronic hill start assist feature, is to simply use the handbrake. Pull the emergency brake handle up, put the shifter in first gear, and push the clutch to the floor. When the light turns green, start letting the clutch out while giving it a little bit of gas. As soon as you feel the rear end of the car squat down and the hood lift slightly, meaning the car wants to move forward, smoothly drop the handbrake. It is a seamless, safe transition that completely saves your clutch assembly from a fiery, expensive death. Another incredibly common and destructive mistake is treating your gear shifter like a comfortable armrest. It feels totally natural to just leave your right hand draped over the shift knob while you are cruising down the highway listening to the radio, but you have to understand the mechanics underneath the center console. That shifter is not just a joystick, it is directly connected via physical linkages or cables to the internal selector forks inside your transmission casing. These heavy metal forks are designed to only make physical contact with the rapidly rotating synchronizer sleeves for the very brief split second you are actually changing gears. When you rest the heavy weight of your arm on the shift knob, you are applying constant hydraulic-like pressure that pushes that fork against the spinning sleeve. This constant metal-on-metal friction rapidly wears down the precise contact pads on the tip of the fork. Eventually, it will get so worn down and sloppy that the transmission will literally start popping out of gear into neutral while you are driving, or you will have an incredibly difficult time trying to force the shifter into gear at a stoplight. You are essentially paying for a full transmission rebuild because you wanted an armrest. Keep both hands securely on the steering wheel, and only reach down to grab the shifter when you are actively preparing to change a gear. Let us talk about the stubborn myth of coasting in neutral to save fuel. A lot of old school drivers, and even some younger guys trying to hypermile, think that if they are going down a long mountain pass or approaching a stop sign half a mile away, popping the shifter into neutral will save them gas. In very old vehicles with primitive carburetors, that logic might have held a tiny bit of water. But in absolutely any modern fuel-injected vehicle built in the last 3 decades, this is completely wrong, wastes fuel, and puts you in a highly dangerous situation. Modern engine computers are incredibly smart. When you leave the car in gear and take your foot completely off the gas pedal to coast down a hill, the computer recognizes the situation and engages deceleration fuel cut off. It completely shuts down the fuel injector. The physical forward momentum of the wheels and the transmission keeps the engine turning over. During this time, you are literally burning 0 drops of fuel. But if you shift into neutral, the engine is disconnected from the wheels and has to turn the injectors back on just to keep the engine idling at 800 RPM. You are wasting gas to idle. Furthermore, when you coast in neutral, you lose all of your engine braking. The engine is no longer holding the weight of the car back, meaning you have to ride your brake pedal all the way down that long hill. This superheats your brake pads and boils your brake fluid, leading to massive brake fade where the pedal goes straight to the floor and you cannot stop. Plus, if you suddenly need to accelerate to avoid a swerving truck or a road hazard, you are caught completely out of gear with no way to apply power. Always leave the transmission in gear, let the engine do the work, and save your brakes for when you really need them. Finally, we need to talk about the proper way to drive your manual car backward. The reverse gear in almost every single manual transmission on the market is actually the tallest gear ratio in the entire gearbox, usually even taller than your first gear. Because of this steep ratio, you naturally have to slip the clutch a little bit more just to get the heavy vehicle moving smoothly backward without stalling the engine. The problem arises when drivers need to back up a long, winding driveway or maneuver a heavy trailer. Many people will just ride that slipping clutch for 50 or 100 feet straight. Doing this creates an immense amount of localized heat inside the bell housing very quickly. If you have a long distance to reverse, the technique you should be using is pulsing the clutch. Bring the pedal to the bite point, give it a tiny bit of gas to get the car rolling backward with some good momentum, and then immediately push the clutch pedal completely back to the floor and just let the car coast backward. When you start to slow down, pulse the clutch to the bite point again for a second to gain more speed and push it right back in. Do not just sit on that friction point dragging the heavy vehicle up an incline. You are shaving thousands of miles off the lifespan of your clutch disc every single time you back out of your garage if you do it wrong. Manual transmissions are beautifully simple, incredibly durable pieces of machinery if you treat them with the mechanical respect they deserve. But these tiny, seemingly harmless daily habits will stack up and put your vehicle in the transmission repair shop faster than you can imagine. I want to hear exactly what is going on with your daily driver right now. Head down into the comments section and tell me what kind of weird mechanical noises, strange check engine error codes, or sudden MPG drops you have been dealing with this week. Let us get a solid diagnostic conversation going down there and help each other figure out those annoying car problems. And if you got some real, actionable value out of this session today and want to keep your ride out of the expensive repair bays, hit that subscribe button, give the video a solid thumbs up, and I will see you all in the next Garage Breakdown. Keep those wrenches turning and stay safe out on the road.